Today on Vantage Revival, it's Morphin Time! We find our inner ninja animals and watch a childhood classic from 1995. When the evil Ivan Ooze takes over Angel Grove, it's up to 6 teenagers with attitudes to save the day. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, now playing on Vantage Revival. I grew up on the Power Rangers. Mm-hmm. It came out in the 90s. It was big. I think every boy in particular wanted to be a Power Ranger. And I'm sure girls did too, but it was a big part of my childhood for sure. So the fact that there was a Power Ranger movie as a kid, blew my mind. This came out in 1995. I would have been 7 when this came out. So, for a 7-year-old.
Big,
the fights, the monsters, the robots, everything about it blew my little 7-year-old brain. And you didn't grow up with the Power Rangers.
No.
Why were you not allowed to watch the Power Rangers?
So I think we've talked about the fact that I wasn't allowed to watch Pokemon in previous podcasts, and this goes on the same thing. Being the youngest child, my parents obviously made a bunch of rules based on what my 2 older siblings did. So my 2 older siblings would watch Power Rangers, and then they would pretend to be the Power Rangers, and they would dance on coffee tables and fight invisible monsters and break things. So my parents put a stop to watching Power Rangers. I maybe have seen an episode my whole life. I knew who they were, obviously. I know that they're a bunch of teenagers that are dressed in different colors and that, but that's all I know about the Power Rangers. I know nothing about them. So this was very, not hard to watch in that sense, but just confusing for me because I don't know how their superpowers work or who they are or what they are. It's kind of confusing, so.
I can kind of see that, though I do feel this movie in particular does a good job of kind of trying to tell the story really quickly of who they are, what they do, and then bringing in new powers so that if you weren't really sure of who they were, you get a different version of them in this movie having to go and reclaim their powers, right?
Okay.
But I understand, if you're not a part of the lore, it may be a little bit confusing. And it's funny because this movie, it could be a continuation of the series because it does have the same actors and whatnot. But the series itself does not use the movie to continue the series.
So once the series jumps back in, it's all of this movie never happened.
Yeah, which is so weird because in the series, you know how they found ninja animals? That happens in the series, but their own way. Not related to the movie. But they wear the same costumes, they get the same animals, it's the same Power Rangers.
So essentially you don't have to watch the movie to understand their new characters, but you do have to... But it isn't, so it happens twice for people who do watch the movie. Now this is way too confusing.
I think that's why they did it though, is because if you didn't watch the movie and you were just watching the series, you would have missed a big chunk of what happened, right? So in this way, if you never watched the movie and you're a fan of the series, you would never have missed what happened because Ivan Ooze never existed in the series. He was only in the movie.
So one of the things that I thought was wow, the budget must be super high for this movie because they've got people skydiving, they've got people kicking butts, the teenagers do some things and then you can tell that the same teenagers are not doing other things in their power costumes. But then I did some Googling and I saw that Tommy, which I feel is the main Power Ranger.
Yeah.
He actually, his career was martial arts. So that was real. Tommy was a martial artist.
Yeah, when they hired pretty much any of the Power Rangers to have a background in martial arts, dance, any sort of fighting was a benefit, and they tried to hire around those things.
Yeah, it was very, cool to see that was kind of a lot of, probably real stunting that was happening. Maybe not with, the big crazy stuff.
I don't think they fought too much in their suits, but obviously when they were fighting as them, that was them.
Yeah, which is really cool. Another thing, the reason I kind of started Googling this is because I wanted to make sure before I make this comment that I'm legally making this comment. And my Google confirmed that I can legally say this. Oh my god, White Power Ranger? Wow. He is something else.
Are you saying you were checking his age?
I was checking his age at the time of the movie to make sure that I wasn't about to say something about a 17-year-old.
No, they were definitely adults.
Yes, they are adults. They are not teenagers like they portray themselves in the movies. And wow, was Tommy hot. But
I will say that I think the Power Rangers was a big sexual awakening for a lot of teenagers and whatnot. So, and Tommy in particular was definitely a heartthrob back in the day too.
The movie is very full of very well crafted.
I know where you're going with this.
Every time they take down a evil monster villain, they have to. It's in the contract. You want to become a Power Ranger, you must make a pun about how you're going to defeat this monster. You're going to pull a bone out of its neck. You must say, I have a bone to pick with you.
It's true.
The thing is it's not just like every fight scene. It's every character has one line in every fight scene where they've got to have their one-liner zinger pun about how they are going to destroy this monster.
What a trip. See you next fall.
That one was so bad. I just heard that in a toddler show I watched the other day.
But you gotta remember, this was made for toddlers. Like I was 7 when I watched this. Well, I was 7 when I watched this, right?
7 is not a toddler. That is a
I'm
child.
not saying I'm exaggerating the toddlerness. But I'm saying as a kid though, like that pun was like, I'm so using that at the playground when I trip somebody.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, when I was young still, that was still something that we, next trip, see you next fall. We said that all the time when I was a kid, right? But like, it's just like, looking back on it now, it's like, you had to, everything that you guys did, you had to say a pun about.
I think it's charming. I think it's definitely 90s, like that little bit of bullying before they killed these monsters. Like, I loved it. I still love it. I think it's funny. I think if it didn't have that, it'd be a lot of empty air. You know, a lot of just fists and feet flying and stuff.
That is true, but I still found that a lot of it was... You know what I noticed? Okay, here's the situation about the situation. I don't like action movies. This is not the kind of movie that I enjoy. We've learned that I do like some... You don't call them horror. What do you call them?
Thrillers?
Thrillers. I realized that I like the thriller genre of movie. That's good. We found something that I like. I will never like action movies, and this just like goes to prove that.
Well, I will say that I saw you smile and giggle a few times.
There's a few
it wasn't
funny
completely.
Things. There's a few funny things, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I was trying to keep my eyes open near the end of it because I'm like, okay.
Well, now you know how I feel about all the boys.
Yeah, okay, I get it. Okay, why is everything in this movie so bad? First of all.
Well, you said it had a big budget, so you couldn't be that bad. You were impressed by some of it.
No. I was just like, does it have a big budget? Because they have to hire 1 billion people to be the one main character.
There's a lot of actors in this movie, too.
But I mean, it was just the one guy playing. Anyway, none of their mouths line up to any of the things they're saying ever. There's so many times where it's very clear, like when that big, what do they call that, Jerome head is on the...
Zordon?
Zordon's head is on the screen, and he says something, and literally his lips are saying the complete different... You're like, I saw you laughing. Yeah, that's a part that I laughed at, because it was so bad.
Okay,
they didn't even try to make that look like it was... the same.
I will say that you're right. There are a lot of points in this movie where like the lips do not match with, or not very well with what they're saying. The Zordon one, I think, is more of the TV series was also like that, where it didn't match perfectly.
Oh my gosh.
So I think that was just keeping in line with what they had already been doing for seasons upon seasons.
It's intentional. It wasn't bad editing.
Because all of these Power Rangers, may I add, are not all the original ones. Only 3 of them, really only 2 of them are, and then they keep getting new Power Rangers and whatnot. But another reason is, for example, one of the villains, Rita Repulsa, which was the crazy-haired girl witch person. In the original series... do you know how Power Rangers works? Is like how they make it a series?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna blow your mind here a little bit.
Okay, I'm ready.
Wow, you're so optimistic. So how Power Rangers worked was, it started off in Japan.
Okay.
And it was called something different. It was not called Power Rangers. But it had the Power Rangers.
Okay.
So it had Japanese actors, and they would morph into their costumes, and then morph into their Zords and stuff. America was like, oh shit, this is really cool, we like it, but it's too Japanese. Like, they're in Tokyo, and they're all Asian, we can't have that, but we want to have the Power Rangers. So what they did was, they paid, obviously, they took the scenes of all the costumes and all the Zords and then had Americans act out whatever they wanted for the American side. So it'd be like, hey, you know, I'm Tommy, blah, blah, I'm gonna have lunch in the cafeteria. Oh no, there's monsters! Transform! And then when they transform, it's the Japanese footage.
Oh.
So anyways, that witch was the main villain of like the first season. And they loved her so much that they kept the original Japanese footage of this Japanese woman, but she spoke Japanese. So they just dubbed it in English with a different actress. So in this movie, because they can't get that Japanese actress to come back after all these years, like she doesn't speak English, that woman we see is not the woman from the series, but they kept the voice actor who acted for her, so she's talking over that woman's lips. So it doesn't match up perfectly because that actress has never been a part of the show, and that's not her voice.
Oh my god.
It's a huge mess, but it works in the fandom, okay? It really works.
I think you have to be. This is one of those situations like our Adam Sandler movies that we're watching.
You have to be inside of it.
You have to be an Adam Sandler fan to get it.
I don't know if that's the same parallels, but I'll give it to you, sure.
Thank you, okay.
And the last thing I want to say, too, is that they did do a lot of filming out in the open. They had sets for some things, but overall, they filmed outside.
Yeah.
And in particular, those scenes where they're on the different planet, that was Australia, which is really cool. It's beautiful. But there's water and all that noise in the background. You can't use that audio. So they would have had to go in and redub things. So I'm sure a lot of those scenes where it feels weird is because they redubbed it, you know?
I can tell when certain scenes were, like, dubbed over. It's just that... And, I mean, it comes with years, right? Like, obviously a show now probably wouldn't...
It's way better done, right?
Yeah. Well, back then, I mean, when you have somebody talking in a scene, they're fighting and they're saying stuff, but you can clearly see them on their screen and their lips aren't moving, maybe don't put that part in the show, you know? But I feel like the standards are much higher now.
Completely. I have a question for you.
Yes.
Would you skydive?
No. I've actually thought about this. I'm not afraid of heights. I'm afraid of falling.
Which is what skydiving literally is.
It's literally just falling from the sky. And I think that's the reason, like, I'm not afraid of flying. I'm afraid of your stomach rising to your neck feeling of falling. And that's what landing a plane feels like. That's what it would feel like if a plane crashed. That's what, right? Like, I'm not even scared of the crashing of the plane. I'm scared of the falling. So no, I wouldn't intentionally, get into a plane and then intentionally die from it. I want to be that person that's like, yeah, I'll do it. YOLO. No,
that's fair. I don't think I could do it either. Again, for me, it's not so much the falling. That'd be kind of pleasant, I feel. It's the landing.
Really? Landing?
Well, yeah, because if I don't land properly, like, you're dead.
You're dead.
And if you're not, like, all your internal organs have busted open or bones have jumped out through your legs.
But I mean, like, you would do a tandem one. Somebody else would be landing for you.
Well, they didn't do a tandem one, just saying.
Because they're the freaking Power Rangers, D'Artagnan.
They had to prove something, you know?
Do you really think that 22-year-old Tommy was diving out of a plane on a skateboard?
Knowing him, I'm sure he would have loved to if he didn't do it. I know, it probably wasn't. If you had to only wear one color of clothing, what would it be?
Oh, okay. Whoa, hold on. Because we get the default black and white, correct?
No, because
Kimberly wears a white shirt and a pink skirt.
Well, yeah, you're allowed to have colors that accent your main color, but you couldn't wear pink and like yellow.
No, 100%. And that's why, like, as long as I have like a default black and white, I can wear a white shirt.
But if you're a White Ranger, you can only wear white.
I would probably choose, this is going to be probably so weird to you, but I would probably choose like beige or tan. That'd be my color.
You'd be the beige Power Ranger. Yeah. What's your power? Blending into cafeteria walls?
You know what? I still don't really understand the Power Rangers' powers or things, so that might be a good one. I don't know.
Done.
Good.
Marissa, the beige Power Ranger.
What would yours be? Blue? Blue? Because I'm a boy, and blue's for boys? Wasn't the pink Power Ranger originally a boy?
No, it was always a girl.
Was it?
She was the only... Well, in the American version, pink and yellow were girls. In the Japanese, only the pink was a girl. Which is why, it's not in this movie, but in the series, Kimberly has a skirt. and the other ranger does not, because it's actually a man in the Japanese version, which is funny because you can like see a bulge while you're watching it, but it's like, oh, that's Trini, the yellow ranger. It's like, that's not really Trini though.
Ooh, that's...
But again, nowadays.
But I mean, like, good for that Asian man.
So back to my color. I would pick gray.
Okay, wait. Hold the phone.
What?
You'd be the beige Power Ranger? What a boring color. I'd be gray.
Or like silver, you know, like that.
Okay, beige or gold.
Beige is not gold.
I'm sorry, what's beige?
Beige is like what you're wearing now, like muddy white.
Yeah, beige or gold. You add a little shine to this, it's gold. Why are you laughing at me? You make this shiny and this is gold.
No, it's not.
Are you on drugs?
You're just an egg with glitter.
Okay, maybe a golden D egg. Gold in D.
I can't. Beige is not equivalent to gold.
Oh my god, I'm Googling.
Gold is closer to yellow. Have you ever rollerbladed before?
Love rollerblading. Oh my god, I love rollerblading. I haven't done it in many years, but as a kid I did it all the time. I actually would do this little course around my dad's truck, but on the one side, the concrete got very small and then there's just like a rock pit beside it. So I'd have to like really shimmy past and duck under the mirrors and such. And then one day I got a little cocky and I was in shorts and I tripped and I slid. And from my ankle to my knee was just absolutely cement burnt, bleeding, gross. It was terrible.
Yikes.
But I took a shower, I took a bath, and I went back out and rollerbladed some more because I loved rollerblading.
That's what happens when you're a real kid playing outside. You clean yourself up and
you go back out there.
My parents didn't see the value of things that didn't last a long time. And it'll make sense in a second.
Okay.
So if I was 7, in this movie I was, if I wanted rollerblades, they'd be like, oh yeah, sure, we can get you rollerblades. And I'd be like, oh yeah, this is awesome, I'm gonna get rollerblades. And then they'd go and buy me rollerblades, but I would not be present when they bought said rollerblades. And that's important for the story. They would then surprise me with rollerblades, and they'd be like 8 sizes too big.
Oh, no.
And I'd be like, what are these? And they're like, they're your rollerblades. And I'm like, they don't fit. Well, yeah, because you're going to grow into them. So you can use them now, and then you can use them for the next 8 years while you grow into them. So there was me, 7-year-old, using rollerblades that did not fit, stuffed with like socks or whatever I could to fill them up. And I would fall and like break my ankle like every single day. Like they did not fit securely. And I would have the same shitty rollerblades for years on end. And I would use them all the time because I wanted to be like Tommy and like going through those streets and like getting that speed. Yeah. And I grew up in a small town, so the streets weren't busy, right? So we could go on the streets and go through town with these rollerblades. But it was super hard with ones that didn't fit properly.
Oh my gosh. So how old were you when you finally fit into them?
By the time that I probably was over rollerblading.
Oh my lord.
Or I forgot all about it. And whatever's new, right? Like Pokemon came or something.
Yeah.
So like...
Oh my god. Oh man. I have a question.
Sure.
Not for you in particular, but for you. Where are the Power Rangers' parents?
They're not a big part of the movies at all, but the series, they're a little bit. Like, they might come to, like, a martial arts competition or something once every season. They're not a big part of the storylines. So
they don't care that their kids are flying rainbows through time and space to go to Australia. Sorry, not Australia, some planet.
A different planet, yeah.
Which, we'll get to this, to fight a very fatal battle. For who knows how long. And can we say this too? This little robot thing goes, beep, boop, beep, you have to go here and do this.
Alpha 5, yeah.
Alpha 5 says you have to go there and do this. But everyone who's gone there has perished. And Tommy is just like, well, we have to go. What did you just say? Everyone perished? We have to go? Don't even think about it. They're just like, we're the Power Rangers. We have to go. Let's go. Come on, guys. Let's go. And Tommy, A, just makes all the decisions.
Well, he is the leader.
But B, we have to go. No debate. People have died. We have to go. Parents don't care. Well, Tommy doesn't care.
The parents don't know they're Power Rangers.
What the fuck do the parents think they're doing?
It's the 90s. They're drunk, probably. You know,
oh my lord.
Having orgies and stuff. It was the 90s, right?
Questions.
So yeah, no, the parents are not a big part of the series. But however, the other parents of the regular kids were a big part of this movie.
Yes, huge part of the movie.
Yeah, so I mean, there were parents that were there. They just weren't the Power Rangers parents. They do rely on Tommy too much to make their decisions and put all of them at risk constantly.
Yeah.
And especially because he is tend to be seen as the strongest Power Ranger, it is asking them a lot to meet your standards of saving the day.
Yeah.
When they seem not to do that very often, the other Power Rangers. But there is that level of friendship and blind trust and being hopeful that you're going to get through. And I think the Power Rangers is a good message of, let's do it, guys. And like, you don't always see that in the sense of that level of peril, you know? Like,
yeah.
Alpha 5 says everything goes or dies. You know, most people will be like, yeah, no, I'm going to pass. But they're like, no, let's do this. And I think that's a great life lesson for all of us sometimes of...
Just do it.
Let's just do it, you know?
Let's just do it.
I will say, this is why I think 90s kids in particular love slime.
I was going to say, it's almost ironic that he tries to take over the world.
Ivan Ooze.
Ivan Ooze tries to take over the world by giving away slime. And honestly, that could be how COVID was distributed to the planet. Because in 2020, slime was huge. Still is to this day. But 2020 slime made a huge comeback. And then everybody started dropping like flies. That's all I'm saying.
So you're saying Ivan Ooze has come back?
Ivan Ooze is real, first of all. And he's using slime. Not only is he profiting, because this Ivan Ooze was at least nice and giving it away for free.
That's true.
He's profiting off of this time. So, yeah, just like
so
crazy.
You're saying Dr. Felchi is Ivan Ooze?
Yes. But no, like, really, it is crazy that this whole movie, or the whole demise of the world is coming from slime. And it's just so funny that we've had this crazy pandemic over the last, let's be real, 3 years. It's not ended. Not in a get your vaccines way, in a oh my god, when the frick is this gonna end way. But slime was a huge part of quarantine. People making slime, people buying slime businesses opening, profiting, all that stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, like huge YouTube accounts that are just slime.
Slime, playing with slime, making slime. It's crazy. So yeah, sorry to cut you off, but I was like, yeah, this is...
No, hand in hand, right?
Crazy.
No, the parallels, I love it. It's relevant today, children. Watch the Power Rangers movie, get your slime in.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So I want to talk about the plot then a little bit, because we haven't really touched about the plot. Ivan Ooze was a villain 6,000 years ago, and Gordon trapped him in this egg, and for some reason kept him on Earth. Doesn't make sense, but he did. And he also kept him in Angel Grove, where he lives, but besides the point. So Ivan Ooze is released by Lord Zed and Rita Repulsa. And Ivan Ooze wants to take over the world, and he does it in a very comedic fashion. I think he's one of the funniest villains out there.
He's funny.
The Power Rangers have lost their powers because Ivan Ooze has attacked Zordon and destroyed the place. And the Power Rangers are then sent to a different planet to regain their powers and then hopefully save the day from Ivan Ooze. If you were locked up for 6,000 years, what's the first...
You know what my answer is going to be, and I don't even know the question.
What's the first thing that you'd want to do?
When I got out?
Yeah.
Oh my god, what do you think?
It could be anything.
You know what? This is an even more fun game. You list 3 things you think I would do when I first got out.
Oh, they're not appropriate by any
No.
means. Okay, well, you would either want to eat something.
Oh my god, yes. 100%.
You'd fuck yourself.
Oh, 120 million%.
Or you'd want to go back to sleep.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, my first go-to is I'm gonna masturbate so hard. I'm gonna masturbate so hard. 6,000 years and you can't do anything because you're a clump of goo. No, I'm gonna masturbate so hard. I was also thinking about Taco Bell. Taco Bell, masturbate, and you know what? Sleep sounds so good. You think he was sleeping in there, though? He said he was bored, so...
He wasn't doing anything in there.
That is true.
He was just
floating around in his own...
Ooze.
Ugh. What'd you do?
Stretch. I think if 6,000 years had passed, I would be like, is Justin Trudeau still in power? So kind of on the topic of them having their puns during their fighting and whatnot, there's one scene that I fucking love because it's so ridiculous. It's when they're fighting in like the parking lot kind of area. They're already suited up and they're fighting the first batch of Ivanu's minions. And Billy does like 6 backflips really quickly. And he gets to like Aisha and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, did you have to do 6 backflips just to ask her if she was okay?
And she was like 3 feet away from him. He could have just turned around and asked her.
Are you okay? But he had to do 6 backflips.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
And like as a kid, again, I'd be like, "That's so amazing." But like as an adult, it's like, dude, that's a lot of effort just to do that.
Save your energy.
You don't have to do that, dude.
You've got like 17 more monsters to fight.
Who are you impressing?
Aisha, obviously. Let's be real. We all know that Aisha and the blue guy were fucking.
Billy.
And we all know that Tommy and Kimberly were fucking. Okay? So clear and simple because literally if Kimberly... First of all, why is Kimberly a Power Ranger? Because all she does... I'm sorry. All she does is just go, "Tommy, save me."
Okay.
But she never does anything. And did you see her when she did that little kick? Sorry, when she puts both legs up. And it's just like, it's not like a cheerleader. Honestly, from middle school could have done better than that. Come on, lady. She shouldn't be a Power Ranger.
She's a gymnast.
She's a terrible fucking gymnast. Sorry.
You leave Amy Jo Johnson alone.
I'm sorry, Amy Jo Johnson. You were not a good gymnast back when you were in your 20s, okay? Because that kick that you did was so not good.
Says the girl who's never kicked like that.
Shut up, okay? I almost got accepted onto my middle school cheerleading team, so don't even go there.
Okay, so I will say that in the original series, Kimberly was a part of that.
Okay.
And Tommy was not. He was not one of the Rangers in the beginning. And at that point, Kimberly did hold her own. She had to. There was no one saving her.
Yeah.
But then they brought in Tommy as a character, as the Green Ranger. He was evil.
Oh.
Yeah, he was kind of good, but mostly evil. Yeah, it was very, very Twilight before Twilight, you know? And that's when she starts to fall in love with him. And then he becomes good and becomes the White Ranger. And then they bond at that point and they become boyfriend and girlfriend.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Are they in the movie?
They are in the movie. They didn't really highlight that. Maybe because the series did so much of the highlighting of the relationship that they're like, no, let's focus on the new powers. And I think they really wanted to highlight the CG, which I'll get to later on.
Yeah.
Because it was the beginning of that stuff, right? So I think that they didn't want to focus on the romance. They wanted to focus on the action. That's their big seller, especially for kids.
Yeah.
In this movie, I do agree. She does scream Tommy a lot. And I'm also thinking, why wouldn't she ask for help from anyone else? Like, she's just screaming for Tommy.
Like, literally, she's got the red guy right beside her, and Tommy is away
fighting
on
5 other
mountain,
monsters.
and he has to come in and swing in and save her, which, like, loyalty, I guess, but, like...
She's like, ew, don't save me. I just want Tommy.
I know, don't touch me. I can do it myself if I really wanted to, okay? I'm a Power Ranger, for God's sake. I need my man.
Yeah, so I do agree with that, but I think that was just to highlight the relationship and that Tommy is a savior for her. As a kid watching this, I think one of the most shocking things for me was that Zordon wasn't just a head.
Yeah, that was weird. Like, what is he?
I mean, technically he's an alien that picks Power Rangers and then and gives them their powers. But it's like, wait a minute, so this man is just lays in that
is he
tube constantly?
Rock?
I don't know. And so as a kid, it was very like, wait a minute, why is there a man wearing like a onesie
laying in this crystal bed?
Like, Why wouldn't he just talk to them if that's what his
That's
form
what I don't
is?
understand. Like, why wouldn't he just get them to come over and see him?
Yeah, it's like he needs the tube to stay alive. Like he needs to be a tube baby or something.
And that's the thing. Like, he wasn't dying because the tube's gone. He's dying because the power's gone. So what's with the tube? It's not like he had some different air in there that was keeping him alive.
Yeah, because he was like out of it for like days. You know?
He was fine. Even when everything got restored without his tube, he was like, cool. I'm alive. Well, no, he wasn't. He was dead, and then they...
Yeah, he does end up dying.
They used their medallion powers to bring him back to life.
And the power of friendship.
Dude, my eyes were this close to being closed at that point. I love you, but this... Anyway, continue.
We'll get there. I also love snow globes. When Ivan Ooze put Lord Zed and Rita Repulsa on the snow globe, I'm like, I would buy that snow globe.
One of those.
Yep, I would buy that snow globe.
I wonder if they made those things.
They didn't make Ivan Ooze. That would have been a great seller if they actually made slime. Like,
Ooze, yeah. I mean, someone could probably still make that to this day.
Well, I was thinking, I'm like, should I start a business and call it Ivan Ooze? All I'm saying is that there's a lot of good marketing in this movie that they could have used.
Oh, 100%.
You know?
They could have done so much.
You know, here's your Ivan Ooze, here's your snow globe, here's your bikini top, you know. Yeah. Which leads to the new planet.
The frick?
So when we get to the new planet, Ivan Ooze has sent his bird creatures to fight the Power Rangers. And they're just too much because the Power Rangers don't have their powers anymore. They're just regular teenagers. Mm-hmm. But they're saved by the erotic, gorgeous Dulcia.
Jesus Christmas. Erotic is right. You just called this a toddler show. That lady showing up, I swear I saw labia at one point.
Are you saying it was too revealing?
Little much!
How I saw her outfit, I love her outfit. It's sexy.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's a sexy
for
outfit.
For a kid's show. Maybe not. I literally saw vagina sides.
There was vagina sides. I really think that Dulcia's character, because she's not a part of the series, obviously she would not be on television. I think that was for like the dads who had to bring their kids to watch this movie. Like, we know that you're bored and it's a stupid kids movie. Here's a side vagina.
Here's a nice cheek, and that cheek took up the whole screen at one point. They're trying to focus on Tommy and it just kept focusing on the cheek of this lady. By cheek, I mean ass. So
there's a lot hanging out.
Oh my god.
But she's gorgeous. She's gorgeous. She's built
that
for days.
Body. Oh my lord. Hello, mommy. But wow, for a kids movie, nuts.
Yeah, no, that. But you think about it though, the 90s had things like Xena, and like, not that she wore that outfit in particular, but there was women who were strong that wore very little clothing for the most part. So it does kind of fit the time period.
I mean, yeah, but you just called this a toddler show. Toddler show. So I was a little taken aback. I was like, wait, I was not allowed to watch this as a kid, and maybe this is why.
But while they're there, Dulcia gives them like their spirit animal. And they get cool things like wolves and bears and falcons. And then Adam, the Black Ranger, becomes a frog.
Yes.
Now, I love frogs, like, so I'd be very honored to be a frog. But it was funny because, like, she goes to each Power Ranger and is like, you're the bear because you're strong and you're brave. And I'm like, okay, cool. So each character gets their own little character development based off their animal. And then Adam is unhappy with the frog and he's all depressed. And she's like, oh, what's wrong? Like, is it because you're the frog? He's like, yeah. And then she's like, well, that means you're a prince. Like, if we kiss, mwah. And then she kisses his forehead or whatever. And I'm like, wait a minute. So all the rest of the Power Rangers are strong and fierce and
smart.
Yeah. And Adam is just a prince. Like you're useless. You're just eye candy. Like,
yeah, like they had not millions, but they had so many other animals they could have chosen from. But they landed on frog and they said, how do we make frog work now?
Well, you're pretty.
How do we make frog work?
If you kiss a frog, it automatically turns into a prince.
And what does a prince? Okay, cool. I'm a prince. What does that have to do with me being a Power Ranger, bro? Being a prince doesn't save me from boars, man. Jeez.
I know. You might as well casted Prince Harry. You know. Meghan Markle could have been Dulcia. in spirit of this movie, I want to give you what I think your spirit animal is.
So God.
Yeah, so you're the beige ranger. Don't forget about that. And I think your spirit animal would be the penguin.
Okay. I'm thinking.
You don't get a choice. It's like Adam and the Frog. You get what you get.
I know, but I'm trying to think of why you would give me a penguin. And is it because I'm lazy?
Penguins aren't lazy. Have you seen March of the Penguins?
No.
It shows they're not that lazy.
Okay.
Well, that's the next Vantage revival.
Okay, why penguin?
Because you're cuddly and plump. And you're very caring. And penguins are very, very caring.
All right. Thank you for that. You would be... You'd be a Tasmanian devil.
Why?
Because you're fucking rude.
They are kind of rude.
Listen to yourself. You are a Tasmanian devil.
I'll take it. I'm silver.
Gray. Me and you showing up as the Power Rangers, just the two of us. Ta-da! Beige and Gray here to save the day.
Like, oh, it's these guys again.
Great. Somebody call the cops.
Tommy, save me.
Yes, Tommy, please save me.
You get Rocky.
Yeah, damn it. Rocky's an idiot. He's the one that kept falling.
So here's a question that I can't figure out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can. But why didn't Ivan Ooze just kill Zordon? Like, what stopped him from doing that?
This kind of connects to a question I have. How are the Power Rangers these almighty powerful people, but this guy comes in and breaks down some poles, and all of a sudden the Power Rangers just don't exist anymore? They don't have a backup Jenny? They don't have... Like, they didn't think being Power Rangers fighting villains that someone might find their lair and find a way into their lair and damage their portals?
Yeah, I guess not.
Like, it just kind of confused me where I'm like, wait. Which, something about the sets also bothered me, but that's fine. We'll get to that. I was like, wait, this guy comes in, oozes his way through the door because there's no other way in. Oozes his way through, walks in, goes, pew, pew, pew. And the Power Rangers just don't exist anymore. And Zorgob, or whatever his name was.
Zordon.
Was just like, this is it. The Power Rangers are no more.
Well, he is pretty useful. He just gives powers. He doesn't have any.
So, you're telling me that he's not Lord Voldemort?
No.
Well, that sucks.
No, he is not.
Can we talk about the sets really quickly?
Sure.
What bothered me about the sets is it doesn't feel very real when they've got, let's say they're in a warehouse that's 150 feet by 150 feet, and they decide to put all of the scenery just on the corners of it, and then they put 3 prop rocks in the middle, and then that's it. We're in some magical place trying to find the almighty powerful, and we're in this forest and it's beautiful, and then they get to this big like lookout and it's like empty. There's nothing to it. There's a little broken piece of rock in the background. There's 4 corners. It just didn't feel big. And it's the same thing with their lair or whatever. This giant room, and then there's 4 tubes and a tube with a guy in it.
Well,
they could have used the space a little bit more wisely.
I think you found where they may have cut some of the budget.
Yeah.
They needed to have their
Very
CG
clearly.
monsters at the end.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's more about budget. And I think because they're going from a TV series to the movie again, and they didn't want to be completely different. So having a completely beautiful set would be like, why can't the series have this?
But at the same time, they obviously wanted to make it so that you didn't have to watch the movie. Mm-hmm. So why couldn't they have made it into something so much better? Because it's not like you needed to watch the movie to continue the series. So they could have just made the series what it was and then had the movie its own thing and had the movie be a little little bit more.
But I don't have the answer for this, but I question if they had planned for the movie to be a bigger part of the series. And then when Ivan Ooze and stuff wasn't very popular, I don't think, then they're like, oh, let's forget it.
He wasn't popular?
I don't think, I mean, he's not in the games or anything. They've never utilized his character ever again. Whatever reason, didn't like him. They're like, oh shit, let's just pretend this never happened, you know? But then again, a lot of shows in the 90s had movies, you know, even like Pokemon, and they also only sort of connect, but not really, and this scene kind of does, but not really, to the main series. So it's not the first time that something in the 90s made a movie and it had no correlation. Or even like Hercules, the 90s one, they had like 12 movies.
Yeah.
And they don't connect to the series either, right? So I just think that wasn't a big thing, but I think that not honoring the look of the series would have been a disservice to completely change everything.
What it looked like, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe.
I want to talk about their journey to get their powers back.
Okay.
Before they go, everybody has perished on this journey that has tried it. Nobody has survived. But they go anyway, no hesitation. And once they start their journey, you expect them to go through these like crazy amounts of battles and just battle after battle. They can barely make it through. Everybody's perished. They fight one boned dinosaur where they pull his neck out and he dies. And then they go and they fight 3 monsters. 4 monsters. And they win. And then they get their powers back. It's just not the perishing fights that I thought that we were going to see.
I just want to say that if you had to fight a bone dinosaur and 4 monsters...
But I'm not a freaking Power Ranger.
Well, technically neither were they. They didn't have their powers yet.
Yeah, but they are literally doing flips, diving out of airplanes.
Well, they were Power Rangers then.
I can barely walk down the stairs without crying because my ankles hurt, man.
Hence the penguin.
Rough. I'm just saying.
No, I agree. But I think, again, like, for a kid's show, how much fighting could you have that it wouldn't become tedious? I don't know if you noticed, there's like lots of cuts too. Like it goes from like them being on a different planet, back to Ivan Ooze, back to the planet. And I think that's also to keep the kids a little bit more entertained than just having like talking the entire time or an hour and a half of just fighting, because that wouldn't work either. So I think it was a really hard job to make a movie that would appease kids and the parents bringing them.
Yeah.
Does it do that? Maybe not to the best of its abilities, but for a 1995 film, I think it did pretty good for what it was expected to do. Especially, keep in mind too, they went from filming a series where they did half the work because half of it's Japanese footage.
That is true.
To this movie where you have to do everything now. There is no Japanese footage.
So how long did they continue using the Japanese footage for?
I'm not sure about nowadays because like they're still, Power Rangers is still on. They're on like season 29 or something now. Like, it's crazy. But they continuously use, as far as I know, the footage from the Japanese.
Wow.
And especially with the original, like with Tommy and Kimberly and stuff, for their entire run. Maybe not Tommy. Tommy was still doing like special appearances and stuff after all these years. But up until when like Billy left, they were still using Japanese footage, and that was like probably 6-7 seasons.
Jeez.
And a season's like 45 episodes. It's not this 12 Netflix thing, you know, like. And I think a part of it's because, again, the fan base likes it. It's the history of it.
Oh,
so.
100%.
I thought it was funny because the big plot thing is Ivan's ooze. That's how he's going to trick the parents into helping him find his underground robot monsters. They're going to help dig them out.
Yep.
So the idea is give the kids free ooze, their parents touch it, and then they become like possessed by the ooze to help them out. So there's a little boy in this film. I can't remember his name.
Fred?
Okay, cool. I think he's supposed to be like us. We're supposed to see the movie through his eyes. Like, we want to be Power Rangers. So anyways, Fred gets some free ooze, leaves it at home, and Fred's dad opens it, smells it, is clearly disgusted by it, and then shoves his fingers in. And I'm like, is that how that works? Like, if things smell bad, you just put your fingers in?
Oh my god, and the sound it makes when he does it. Just...
I was thinking too, why does everything want to kill the Power Rangers? Like, it just... Even though you talked about there wasn't much fights, everything did want to kill them,
That
though,
is
no matter
true.
where they were. And I was like, wait a minute, they're in Australia. So
Yeah.
everything wants to kill you when you're in Australia.
Wow, jeez. Even the people.
We love the Australians. I don't know what she's talking about. This is one of my favorite scenes because it's stupid. So Zordon, laying in his bed, not doing anything. Alpha comes up to him and is like, oh no, Ivan Ooze is defeating the Power Rangers, blah, blah. And Zordon, for whatever reason, says, keep trying. Who's he talking to? Like, Alpha, keep trying what? Like, he's not doing anything. Like,
Which I also don't understand. You have this, like, crazy robot that can do a bunch of shit that you program it to do, but it can't put some wires back together to get the Power Rangers' power back.
well, someone made that base, and I always thought it was Alpha, so...
Well, that's the thing, is, like, who built this then? Obviously, it wasn't Zordon, or Zordon?
Yeah, you finally got it.
Yay! Obviously, it wasn't Zordon that did it, because he's... I don't know. Is he goo? Is he ooze? Is he ooze underneath that weird silver blanket he wears?
Is that the idea that he doesn't have a body?
He's just ooze. Oh my god! Here we go. He's ooze. His name is Zordon Ooze, which is Ivan Ooze's brother. And Zordon was the liked child, and Ivan was not. So Ivan now fights to destroy, but that's why he didn't kill him, because he's his brother. So that's why he went in there and just destroyed all of his shit, because he didn't want to kill him, because that's his brother.
Hey, you know what? You need to write some fanfics.
I'm in. Oh, and then it gets incesty. Their goop mixes together. Their goop.
And you've lost everybody.
Oh, their goop combines and they make some like crazy weird concoction of like a supervillain plus a hero, but the hero has no powers, so now it's the hero's brain trying to fight the supervillain's will to kill people, but the brain starts taking over and the supervillain becomes nice. There we go.
And next question. I wonder how much slime they actually made in this movie.
Oh my god, there was so much slime. There was a point when they drop that big crate on them, it just literally looks like there's a hose coming out of it, and it's just...
slime everywhere.
There's so much slime.
Yeah, I can't imagine how much they actually had. And that's just the scenes they showed us, right?
I know,
Who knows how much they actually wasted. I do want to say, though, when they first fought Ivan's monsters, they transitioned between, like, the monster dying into, like, goo by being fought. I thought that was really impressive. Like, they would, like, hit a wall and just, like, explode. Yeah. And I'm like, that transition was perfect. Like, you didn't see, like, the guy, like, disappear. I was like, oh, where'd he go? And, like, no, he became ooze. Yeah. So I was quite impressed for a 90s action kids movie to do that.
90s action kids movie Power Rangers.
So let's bring it to a darker place really quickly, because there was a reason why I wanted to bring this movie up, and it's because last year, unfortunately, Jason David Frank committed suicide. And as much as, like, I don't really, I follow celebrities and I enjoy movies or music and the artists, whatnot, I'm not usually that connected to their personal lives. But this one hit differently because I always saw him as the quintessential Power Ranger.
Yeah.
You know, like, he is a Power Ranger. He's a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger. And he's always carried that title with so much respect. And as of last year, he was 49 years old. And he still was putting on the costumes, still interacting with fans, still doing passion projects related to the Power Rangers, and he didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
There's lots of Power Rangers. There's so many Power Rangers now. Hundreds of them. There has to be. And most of them don't even give it the time of day, even though this is what launched a lot of their careers, right? And there's a lot of tragedy with the Power Ranger series, but having known that somebody I saw as, like, really strong commit suicide was actually kind of hard. As weird as this may sound, I don't want to believe that he killed himself. You know? Like, it's really sad. And he's always been someone that I've seen as inspirational.
I Googled him, and of course, yeah, like everything that he does is like a Power Ranger stance, or he's by his green helmet, or he's in his white suit, or whatever, right? And like you say, like he was just wanting to be so inspiring to kids, right? That like no matter what, he's always a Power Ranger. And like you say, you don't know what's happening in his life, but it's hard to see somebody like that wanting to show people like, look how strong, look, I'm a Power Ranger, and then take their own life. Yeah, that's crazy.
So that's a big reason why I wanted to watch this movie. It's not because it's a great movie, and I'm not delusional in that sense, but this is someone's legacy.
Yeah.
For how bad or good it is, this is someone's legacy and somebody who cared about the fans. So I felt right to bring up a movie that he was proud of. From being a little TV show to what it became, it's a huge cultural influence.
And how many years was he? I guess I could have looked that up, but how many years was he on the...
I want to say that he was on the show consistently, probably for, I would say, at least 7 years.
Jeez, okay.
But he also came back and did, specials and stuff, right? So
like and until I'm just Googling it, so I'll have answers, but...
Yeah, like he was a big part of the series in the beginning. Granted, he wasn't in all of the first season because there was no Green Ranger at the beginning. But once he came in, he didn't leave,
I know, because I was watching that, and when The Warrior came out, I was like, there was a Green Ranger. I'm sure of it. I'm sure there was a Green Ranger. So.
Yeah, that was later on.
Yeah, 2018 is like the last time he did.
And even with that, he still, used his voice for the video games, and like he still was a part of the fandom, even when he wasn't actively on the series.
2019, he was a voice for Power Rangers. That's crazy. That is so sad. Like, I was honestly, I don't know this guy, but like, I was honestly, when I saw that he was passed, I was like, whoa. That's when I gasped. And then I read further into it, I was like, by suicide, that's insane. Like, it's scary.
Yeah, and to top it off, again, more of the series, this year, they're having a reunion episode with a bunch of the original Power Rangers. But they're doing an episode that is going to bring back they're all old now, right? They're all in their late 40s, 50s. They're coming back, putting on their suits and doing a special, like, old person episode type thing.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so sad.
Yeah, so I'm sure it's going to be a big homage to him, because how could they not?
Wow, yeah.
I'm sure if it wasn't going to be a sad episode, that it's going to be a sad episode now. So I'm really excited to see it. I think there's a trailer already out for it, or a little behind the scenes type thing. And like Billy the Blue Ranger is there, and like he's an old man, and there he is wearing the suit. And yeah, so it's crazy to think how Power Rangers, 30 years old, like it came out, 1993? It's literally 30 years old, and it's still a big part of the kids who watched it in the 90s and the kids who are watching it in 2023.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Not many shows have that kind of legacy.
No.
And especially for ones that are shit on so much. Like, Power Rangers is not known for its acting or its storylines, but it's known for, I think, its heart. And that it is ultimately a story about friendship over everything else. And that even though you made fun of Tommy of like taking the lead, that you can do it. Yeah, this was me trying to honor a little bit of, Jason's legacy in a sense, right?
Well, may he rest in peace, and I hope that he's
found peace, right?
He's found peace.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that he will carry with him in the afterlife. I think he'll be a Power Ranger forever. And
even at the end of the movie, I know you'd given up by this point, but but at the end they have the fireworks and it says, "Thank you, Power Rangers," and this is my thank you to the Power Rangers.
Aww.
Yeah, it was
cheesy.
But I mean it. They were a big part of my childhood and even my adulthood. I still watch Power Rangers, so no, really, thank you.
Thank you, Power Rangers.
So back to Ivan Ooze for a second, because he's a big part of the ending as well. I think it's funny that he's 6,000 plus years old, but then he says things like, "Yeehaw!" And I'm like, I don't think they said that 6,000 years ago.
Oh, my Lord.
It was just like, where did he get all this pop culture knowledge from? You know, like, did he have something in his little egg that like kept him informed of what was going on in the world?
I
Like,
think he might have.
that's the only logic I could figure out, because he was talking in ways that someone 6,000 years ago would never.
But like,
you know?
I don't even think that 6,000 years ago he would have said words.
At least not how we know them,
It just
right?
would have been like, you
You think he's a caveman?
Yeah.
Well, he knows English, so
Like, yeah, he's a pretty smart man for being locked up for 6,000 years.
Yeah, good on him. He had like what, Duolingo in there? Is that what it's called?
Oh my god, Duolingo.
He's just teaching himself words.
Every day is Duolingo notification. Leave me alone.
So the end of this movie is very CG heavy, and it was one of the first movies that was really CG, because it was 1995. I think that's the year Toy Story came out, which was a full CG movie. So the fact that this had people mixed in with CG was big. And today's standards, it's garbage. But yeah, as a kid, like it was pretty cool to see, the Zords literally not be a plastic toy, or someone in a suit. It was magical. So I give it kudos for trying to stay and be not only like relevant, but creating what is to come. This is the starting ground for what is Transformers. Like whatever movies we have nowadays, they have to kind of thank Power Rangers for being that messy start and putting wings on CG, I guess.
Definitely was feeling lots of Transformers vibes near the end there with that CG, which was honestly it was pretty decent for some of the other ways that the movie looked, and like you said, that could have been a Disney Plus thing.
Yeah,
but they really did dump a lot of their budget into that because it looked great.
So the one thing that was really disappointing as a kid, and it still disappoints me now as an adult, is that when they regain their powers back, they get their old suits with the new emblem of their spirit animal. But like their heads and everything are still the original dinosaurs.
I know, I was trying to really look, so I'm like, is it the original ones? And I was like, no, maybe they are different. And I'm like, no, they're the same. I was so confused by that, because now, is that what they just are now? They're just those things now instead.
Well, and that's again with the series, when it changed from like the dinosaurs to like the spirit animal thing, like the ninja suits and whatnot, they then just had ninja suits. They didn't wear their old helmets and stuff. They were ninjas. So as they got new powers, they would transition their suits as well.
So, like, in my memory, they were also, like, skin tight. Why?
Yeah, No, you're right. I would say this show is a lot more spandexy, where this one definitely had more of that
like
latex
big,
kind of.
Yeah, latex. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, they definitely changed their costumes for the movie, but the look was still the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just disappointing that they had the original costumes, but they didn't actually change them to suit the new spirit animals that they were.
Yeah. And why were they dinosaurs? Like, what is that?
Well, they were always dinosaurs. But again, it's funny because that's more about the Japanese movie or series, right? Because in the Japanese series, it had a lot to do with like Rita the witch was actually like a cave kind of witch woman and stuff, and the dinosaurs was a bigger storyline. Where in the North American version, they didn't go with that. They just went with, okay, your power is this dinosaur. Never really explaining where that came from. But it's the original Japanese version that the dinosaurs were more important and were a bigger part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's funny because they use the same footage, essentially, but they're very different storylines. So, last little bit with the CG thing. I think it's hilarious that at the end they go into outer space.
Mm-hmm, yes.
And how they defeat Ivan Ooze is with the classic emergency button. And what that does is a nice little kick to the crotch. The robot Ivan Ooze crotch. And then he hits a comet and blows up.
And that's the end of the ooze.
Yeah.
And then all the adults are saved.
They were. All the adults were saved before falling to their death. And
it wasn't wasn't that big of a fall. I'm not sure they would have.
It would have hurt a lot.
It would have hurt. I'm not sure they would have died, though.
I think the first group of people would have died as they started being piled on top of. But the top people would have been fine.
Yeah, definitely.
And then there's Bulk and Skull. We didn't talk about them, but they're in this too.
I had a question about those guys. So they're friends of the Power Ranger group?
So they're bullies. They're the quintessential bullies of the series.
Wait, they're bullies?
Yes, but as the series goes on, they kind of befriend the Power Rangers, and they know who they are, kind of, but not really.
But they're Power Rangers?
Yeah, it didn't really make sense why they were in the movie. But they're big characters. They're not big characters, but they're characters in every episode. And they actually Bulk and Skull, like their characters, go further into the series than any of the original Power Rangers.
Oh my lord.
Yeah.
They really wanted that check.
Don't we all?
But that's the thing is, like, they weren't really bullies. They were just, like, dressed as bullies, you know?
Yeah. I think, well, in the series, I think they're bigger. They're bigger bullies. So they're, like, throwing people in garbages and locking them in lockers and stuff.
Classic
bully
stuff,
right? Yeah. So, yeah. They were there.
They made the cut.
They got paid. they got a vacation to Australia and a paycheck.
Paid? Whatever.
I'm taking it.
So, as always, at the end of every episode, we do rate our movies. We give them a rating from 1 to 3 in 5 categories for a total of 15 points, starting with Edge of Seat.
Yeah, I guess I'll start.
Yeah.
I gave it a 2.
Okay.
I think it's just because this movie has so many connections to my life that I can still watch it and go like, oh, I can't wait to see Dulcia, you know?
Oh, God. And you're gay, so that says a lot.
That says a lot, you know? And so, yeah, it keeps me entertained.
Give it a 1. It's not my genre. It's not something I really get interested in.
I think it's funny because you say that every time with my movies, like, it's not your genre. It's like, well, neither is All the Boys, but I could find a way to enjoy something. Wait. You know?
You say that I come at you for the ratings that I give, you give my movies, yet I literally give all of your movies pretty much better ratings than the movies we watch of mine every week, and you're always like, yeah, that's what you say about all my okay, I'm sorry, I gave my own movie a 5 this week and I'm giving yours a fucking perfect 15, and you're gonna be mad about it?
You've never given me a perfect 15.
I've come close. And you're coming at me, all of the movies in my editing.
Well, let's continue.
Okay, I gave it a 1 because I don't like it. So I don't have to give any more information. Next is acting.
I gave it a 1. I mean, there's no good acting in this movie. But if I really wanted to, I could raise it up because it is just kind of honoring the series. But I'm being realistic and scoring my films realistically, so it gets a 1. Why are you offended by my realistic scores?
I'm sorry, I'm being realistic too, but I'm getting shit on for being realistic. I gave it a 1 because the acting sucked. Next.
Didn't stop you from drooling over the White Ranger.
Okay, White Ranger, rip, was... It was the hair. It was the crooked bottom teeth that really got me. Oh my god, baby, let's go. Anyway, continue. Script.
I gave it a 2. I think it's a really hard job to go from a TV series that you didn't really control half the storyline to then, here's the movie, make it make sense, make it a movie. So I give it a 2.
Give it a 1. I give it a 1.
Why? Why did the script deserve a 1?
Well, because first and foremost, there's a lot of gaps that are missing, i.e., we're gonna go, what is the word they use? We're gonna go perish in this place that just has so much crazy stuff happening in it, and literally... there's no crazy stuff happening in it. It's not bad at all. It's the fact that the pink Power Ranger couldn't do anything by herself and had to have Tommy rescue her, yet they don't make it clear that they're in a relationship and that's why she does that. Also, the whole parents thing with the slime and how the slime makes the kids not obey or not care, but makes the adults obey and listen is kind of... Anyway, there's just a few things where I'm like, yeah, no, this is a 1. Next. Climax.
I gave it a 2. Again, I think that the advancements in CG was really great, and there's a lot of Power Ranger action at the end. So, 2.
I gave it a 1.5. There you go. You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh my god, I've never seen your eyes roll back like that. Holy. Okay, whoa. It's just not... Honestly, I'd go back and change all my scores for all the ones that you think are unfair for me to leave this movie at what I'm rating it, because it's just so not in my realm of... I literally was... I'm so sorry. I was literally falling asleep. Well,
to be fair, you were laying down. That doesn't count.
Well, no, I actually laid down because I was so sleepy that I laid down because I thought it might make me feel better. I did not... Even the ending, the funniest part of the ending was when the dude got nutted, and then that was it. Like, it's not my cup of tea. So, but you know what? Because there was a little bit more excitement, I gave it a 1.5.
Fair.
Would you watch it again?
I gave it a 2.
Maybe.
Yeah, because I've seen it a lot of times. And I think it's one of those films where it's like, if I ever feel like I need to get a piece of my childhood maybe again, I'll put it on.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if, that we do a series where it's like a rewatch type thing, this might be one I pick.
Okay, so to the draft board, we are never doing a rewatch series, or else he's picking Power Rangers, I'm fucking picking 500 Days of Summer. I'll make you sit through that again.
You don't even want to
I will. I don't want to, but I will grin and bear it. I will watch it again. And this movie I will probably never watch again. The thing is, at the end of the day, here's the thing. If I even watched Power Rangers as a kid but wasn't a hardcore fan, I'm sure that all of my outcomes to this rating system would be completely different. I don't understand them. I don't know the history behind them. I never watched them as a kid. There's no connection to me there.
You know what? This tells me that I'm going to leave today. And then in like 5 months, you're going to be like, guess what? I watched the entire series. I fucking loved it. I can't wait to watch it again.
See, the Power Rangers doesn't have anything racial or controversial or...
I mean, they did have the Yellow Ranger be Asian and the Black Ranger be black. So
that's just courtesy.
So my total score is 24689.
And my total score is 5.5.
So that's 14 and a half. Or 13 and a half.
13 and a half. I don't think that's our worst score ever.
No, I'm pretty sure 500 Days of Summer got 10.
10. I'm pretty sure, yeah.
You might have threw in a few pity 0.5s, but...
yeah, no, that one was bad.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Thank you, Power Rangers.
Thank you, Power Rangers. Rest in peace.
Thanks for listening to Vantage Revival. Check out all social media pages for our Movie Q picks and listen every Tuesday and Friday for our newest podcasts. Share, comment, and subscribe.